For as long as I can remember, I have been a fan of Laurel and Hardy, the comedy team of years ago. Anybody remember them? Oh, yeah. Stan and Ollie. Ollie was the rotund one who was always making a fool of himself, except he didn't realize just how foolish he was, seeing himself as the master of every situation, though in fact the master of none, still trying to keep his dignity intact, even when he realized just how foolish he had been. And Stan, his skinny, hapless, loyal sidekick, who could only scratch his head in befuddlement and cry with helplessness when they found themselves in some mess, and whom Ollie blamed for every disaster that befell them. I saw every movie they ever made, and no matter how often I saw them, I still would laugh. And I think my favorite Laurel and Hardy movie was the one in which they were piano movers. Yes, you got it, John. The movie opens with Stan and Ollie arriving at a home to deliver a piano. Now the home sits atop a high, steep, terraced hill with 70, 80 or more steps leading to the door. Ollie looks over the situation and gets a pained look on his face and shakes his head, while Stan does a double take and shrugs his shoulders and sighs. Then Ollie's pride and determination take over, and he says, "Well, what are you waiting for, Stanley?" As if there will be nothing to it. Ollie points for Stan to get to the other end of the piano, while he grabs the front end, and then he jerks his head toward the steps, as if to say, "Let's go." And up the steps they begin to trudge. And after much pushing and pulling and hauling and groaning, they make it to the first landing on the terraced hill. Exhausted, Ollie announces that they will rest there for a minute, and of course Stan immediately lets go of the piano before it's secured, and it starts rolling back down the steps. Ollie cries, "Oh!" and Stan starts to whimper helplessly, and they both flutter their bowler hats on their heads and take off after the piano as it bounces all the way back to the street. This time, Ollie decides he must take complete charge of the situation, since Stan is obviously incompetent. And so, as Stan takes his position at the end of the piano, Ollie pokes him in the chest with his fingers and says, "Never mind, Stanley. I'll do it. Just hoist the piano on my back, and I'll carry it." Stan scratches his head in befuddlement, then shrugs his shoulder and sighs like before, and does what Ollie says. And off they go once more, with Ollie instructing Stan to follow behind him and steady the piano and take some of the weight off. Stan soon discovers, however, that he can let go without Ollie knowing it, and so up they climb, with Ollie bearing all of the weight. They make it past the first landing and nearly to the halfway point, when Ollie steps on a roller skate left on a step. He and the piano both fly up into the air and together go bouncing back down the stairs to the street. When Stan reaches the street, Ollie is sitting in a heap, and all he can say, "Well, this is another fine mess you've gotten me into." Finally, after 2 or 3 more attempts, they make it to the top. Ollie, exhausted and yet proud of having done it, rings the doorbell. The lady of the house answers, and Ollie politely doffs his hat, and with a self-satisfied smile announces and points, as he points to the piano, "Your piano, madam." The woman looks quite surprised and says, "How did you get it up here?" And Ollie answers with a voice that reveals how pleased he is with himself. "Why, up these steps, of course." And Stan grins and nods his head in agreement. With that, the woman bursts out laughing. And when she finally manages to catch her breath, she says, "Why didn't you use the driveway and come in the side door where there are no steps?" And there they stand, utterly chagrined and nervously playing with his tie, trying to maintain his dignity. And Stan, looking puzzled, his mouth hanging open. "Come to me, all of you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens," Jesus said. "Come to me, all of you who are Laurel and Hardy," is another way of putting it. And we are all of us, Laurel and Hardy. Before all else, it is a tragic word that Jesus speaks. It is a word that speaks the truth of our lives. The truth that we are all of us weary and carry heavy burdens. And we always labor and are heavy laden. That in a sense we are all of us, Laurel and Hardy, carrying our lives like some great piano on our backs, struggling under the weight of our lives, pushing and pulling and hauling along the great weight of it all. And of course, each of us can only say for ourselves what it is that so wearies us, what it is we labor under, what burdens we carry. Perhaps it is our past that so weights us down, or all the foolishnesses and miserable failures. Or maybe it's the guilt or some hidden shame. Or maybe it's the staleness and sameness of things. Never anything other than what we've always been. Laurel and Hardy, we all of us are. And as with them, so too with us. It never dawns on us that there's another way, an easier way. It's the tragedy of our lives. We keep laboring under the weight of it all. Keep trying to carry it all until at last we do grow so weary of it all. We go through life as if life is some long flight of steps, and we figure that if we can just make it to the top, we can finally set the burdens down and find some rest and peace. And what is it at the top of that seemingly endless flight of steps? Maybe success, some ultimate goal. But perhaps for most it is God, heaven, the kingdom itself. And so up and up we trudge, trying to do it right, get it right, do it perfectly, because we figure that's how it really is when all is said and done. That in fact it is up to us to get where we want to be, to get ourselves to God, to deliver ourselves, to present ourselves at God's doorstep pointing with pride at what we've done, the load we've carried, how we've made it. But of course each step is a hazard, a danger. And sure enough, we let our guard down for a moment, and everything goes crashing back down the steps. We trip up and go back, bouncing back down the steps, only to pick ourselves up again with as much dignity as we can muster, and load ourselves up once more, and start to climb the hill all over again. Just like Laurel and Hardy. But unlike Laurel and Hardy, we never quite make it. It was the Apostle Paul who said it best, "I do not understand my own actions. For I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. For I delight in the law of God in my inmost self, but I see in my members another law at war with the law of my mind, making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members. Wretched man that I am." That is the tragedy, the wretchedness of it. No matter what we do, we just can't manage to bring it off by ourselves, rid ourselves of the load, be anything other than pretty much what we've always been. But we sure keep trying, keep loading ourselves down all the more. But Jesus speaks another word, not a tragic word, but a word of high and rich comedy. "Come to me," Jesus said, "and I will give you rest." Why didn't you use the driveway? That's the unexpected, rich joke of it. There's a far easier way. Come to me and I will refresh you is another way of putting it. We can set it all down. The past, the guilt, the shames, the great foolishnesses and miserable failures, the memories, the pain, we can just set it down and be refreshed. All of it. Right now. Come to me, Jesus said. He didn't say, come to religion, or come to doctrine, or come to the Ten Commandments, because religion and doctrine and all the rules are a great part of the burden we carry. What weights us down so? What Jesus says that we are to come to Him. We are to come to Him however we are, in whatever way we can, with our tattered pride and threadbare dignity hanging on us like an old coat. Something like Laurel and Hardy would have finally come to Him. There's another way. No long climb, no endless steps, no carrying our lives like a piano on our back. Come to me, take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, Jesus said. And that's how it begins, by putting down our yokes and all we've been hauling and straining under all our whole lives through, and learn from Him. Learn not what has become petrified in doctrine or codified in a list of rules or organized in the structure of that, but learn His gentleness and mercy and graciousness, and allow that to fill us. To learn such things is at last to find rest for our weary spirits. Rest from all laboring and straining, and to be refreshed like we are refreshed on maybe the porch of a mountain cabin or on a beach at the ocean. The refreshment that we feel when at last, for a moment, we allow the beauty of the mountains and the sun and sea to fill us. And it's like this weight is lifted from us. And we are to take His yoke upon us and learn that His yoke fits. That's not a burden at all, because we are to yoke ourselves to Him and learn gentleness and mercy and graciousness ourselves, and then follow Him out into the world and work for Him, take risks for Him, pray for miracles, work for peace, be fools for His sake, even be Him to others. And thus know a refreshment that lasts, and have a spirit that is truly free to live and to love. And once again, today, we come unto Him, and like Laurel and Hardy, we come still laboring and heavy laden. But let us finally just set it all down and be refreshed and go back into our hearts with great laughter in our hearts. Amen.